I'd go get a chair, man.
Okay, so you all have different perspectives. Let's write that down. Perspectives. Can anyone explain to me what perspective means? Yes, Lizzie?
It's like the way you see something.
Yeah, the way you see something. Okay, and it could have a literal meaning, like if there was a car accident and you were standing on, like let's say we're out on the street in front of Dixon. Okay, we're in front of Dixon, there's the street, you're standing over on this corner, and someone else is standing over on this corner, you see this accident. And let's say the person on that corner, they said, no, the blue car hit the red car. They just ran right into them, it was totally their fault. But then maybe from your perspective over here, what you could see, you'll say, no, not even true at all. The red car was totally the one that hit them. They are totally at fault. Okay? So because you were at different places, you saw it differently, even though it was the same event. Just like how you were all in the same class, but you thought different things were important because maybe of your own opinions or your own background. So like if you love to learn about wars and conflicts and the military, maybe you thought, oh yeah, the Utah War, that's definitely the most important. But maybe you hate learning about that stuff. You don't find it fun at all. So you just think, that wasn't that good. And maybe you heard of the Mountain Meadows Massacre before and you were just really excited to learn about it. Okay? So we can see that because you guys have different backgrounds and different opinions and different life experiences, different things are more important to you.
Yeah.
Okay? Because of your perspective. Do you have something to say? Okay. Okay? And so that happens too in the past, in history. Just like we talked about if you saw a car accident, but you were at two different sides of the street, you might see something differently. In history, at events, there's, like for instance, what we're going to talk about today, the Bear River Massacre, we have the Native Americans, who were the ones that were attacked, who were massacred, and we had some U.S. soldier people, and they were the ones attacking, okay, on behalf of the white settlers. So if you were a Native American and you were writing something about that event, it would probably sound a little different than if you were some of the white settlers, right? You would focus on different things, okay? So does someone want to read for us our content objective? Aiden?
The Bear River Massacre of 1863 resulted in the most deaths of any Indian massacre, but is widely ignored in history.
Okay, so you've heard probably in other history classes about how there was a lot of conflicts between Native Americans and then the settlers that came and settled into their lands. And that makes sense because, for instance, here in Utah, when the Mormon pioneers came, there was no one else settled here except for the Native Americans. So when the white settlers come, the Mormon pioneers in this case, they would build things, build houses, buildings, use the land, farm, and that affected the Native Americans. It affected their food supply because they had used the land. It also affected their food supply because they hunted, and those animals were being hunted by more people now, and the land they used, the animals would use to graze was being taken over. So these things would affect the Native Americans and cause some problems for them. And so then the Native Americans and the settlers would often have conflicts, okay? I'm sure you've heard of these things before. Those of you who have taken some American history classes, or in your history classes in elementary school even. Okay, so we're going to read a little bit about this, and then we're going to do an activity where we read some sources, people who wrote about the Bear River Massacre. Not people that were there and experienced it, but some of their grandchildren and things that had the story passed down. So let's turn in our books to page 170, please. So I need everyone's iPads closed and turning to 170. One of you said, what's with all the massacres? Yes, well these were, they didn't happen really close together. The one was in 1857 and this one's 1863. But it was kind of easy to talk about this one now because we had just talked about the other massacre.